My beloved brothers and sisters, imagine standing at the edge of a cliff with the winds of uncertainty howling in your ears. Would you leap or would you retreat? My brothers and sisters, life is not a straight road with obvious signs. It's a web of decisions, and every choice, no matter how small, creates a ripple that echoes into your future. Have you ever thought how one yes or one no can change your entire quadr? Some of us pray for a better life, but we forget that the door doesn't open unless you choose to walk toward it. I'm not saying make reckless choices, no, not at all. But don't let fear freeze your soul either. Sometimes we wait so long for a sign that we miss the one already in front of us. What if the opportunity you ignored yesterday was your ticket to the dua you've been begging Allah to answer? And here's the twist. Destiny isn't waiting at the end of your journey. It's unfolding with every step you take. The question is, are your steps leading you closer to purpose or further into regret? Stay with me till the end, because what I'm about to reveal could be the turning point that shifts your entire path before the sun sets on today. Every choice reshapes the direction of your life, whether seen or unseen. What seems like a small decision, a word spoken, a message sent, a place visited, can silently shift the entire landscape of your future without you even realizing it in that moment. There are no neutral steps in life. Every path you take, every action you choose, either builds you or breaks you in ways you might not understand until much later. The decisions we make are not isolated events. They are seeds planted in the soil of our destiny, some sprouting immediately, others growing silently beneath the surface until the right moment arrives. Sometimes you look back years later and realize that what looked like a minor turn in your routine was actually a divine rerouting towards something greater, or a merciful escape from something harmful. Your decisions hold power even when they feel insignificant, because Allah has designed life in such a way that your free will meets His qadr at every crossroad. Often we underestimate the weight of small choices, how you respond when no one is watching, how you react when you're tested, what you decide when your heart is tired or confused. One moment of courage can unlock a door that was shut for years, and one moment of heedlessness can close a door that was meant to bless you. The trap is in thinking that unless a choice is dramatic, it doesn't matter. But real shifts often happen in the quiet moments when you choose to pray instead of scroll, forgive instead of fight, walk away instead of cling. These are the invisible choices that align your soul with what Allah wants for you. And the beauty of Allah's system is that He watches not just what you choose, but why you choose it. Your intentions, even when your outcomes fail, still shape what kind of future you deserve. Some people make decisions out of fear, others out of faith. That distinction alone separates those who live in anxiety from those who live with divine clarity. If you constantly choose from a place of insecurity, trying to please people, trying to avoid discomfort, you may stay safe, but you won't grow. True transformation comes when you choose what's right, even when it's hard. When you choose Allah, even when the world pulls you in the opposite direction. That one sincere choice to obey, to repent, to trust, to walk away from sin. These decisions crack open the sky of mercy over your life, even when you don't immediately feel the rain. And sometimes the people around you won't understand why you made that decision. They'll question you, pressure you, maybe even mock you. But if your choice was rooted in sincerity and trust in Allah, then know that the shift it creates is working for you, not against you, even if it's unseen. There are moments when your whole life changes, but it doesn't announce itself. It comes disguised as a simple yes or no, a quiet acceptance, or a brave refusal. These moments don't always come with lightning or signs. They come with the test of your inner compass. And when your compass is broken by pain, confusion, or attachment, you might make choices that delay your progress. But even then, Allah does not abandon you. He gives you lessons through those wrong turns, guiding you back with reminders, heartbreaks, delays, and even silence. The beauty is that even the wrong decisions can become right roads when they lead you back to Him. But you must stay awake. You must be mindful of your choices, not just the big ones, but especially the daily ones. Every time you choose to rise from your bed to pray when it's hard, you are reshaping your destiny. Every time you choose to walk away from gossip, backbiting, jealousy, or laziness, you are molding a future that reflects barakah, not chaos. Every time you swallow your ego and speak truth when lying would be easier, You are elevating your spiritual rank in a way no one can see. People often chase results, but Allah looks at direction. You may not reach your goal instantly, but if you keep choosing what pleases Him, even in hidden ways, your direction will eventually lead you to doors no one else could open for you. Some decisions protect you before they reward you. The pain you feel after saying no to something tempting is actually the beginning of something greater being written. Delayed gratification is the language of the wise. Choosing temporary discomfort for long-term peace is a spiritual muscle not everyone trains. But when you do, you start to notice your life aligning in ways that feel lighter, calmer, and more meaningful. You don't always see the result right away because divine shifts often happen underground. But one day you'll wake up and realize that you're no longer stuck in the same patterns, that your heart feels stronger, that your soul isn't begging for validation from the wrong places. That's the silent evidence of wise decisions. Your peace begins to speak louder than your pain. Some of the greatest regrets come from decisions made in haste, anger, or desperation. That's why Islam teaches istikhara, because seeking guidance is a way of surrendering your control while still exercising your will. You're not helpless. You are empowered by Allah to make choices, but you are also humbly reminded that your sight is limited. So when you make a decision after seeking Him, even if the result is not what you expected, you can rest knowing it is what you needed. That security is priceless in a world of uncertainty, and that's what faith gives you. Not perfect outcomes, but purposeful ones. You can't rewind time, but you can reset direction. You can choose differently now. Your future is not something random waiting for you. It is something being shaped by every conscious act you make. And when you finally recognize that even your private decisions carry divine weight, you'll stop underestimating your power to change. You'll begin to ask, is this choice aligning me with light or pulling me deeper into darkness? Is it strengthening my relationship with Allah or weakening it? Is it feeding my purpose or my ego? Because every moment you spend making decisions blindly is a moment you risk walking further away from what you were created for. But every moment you pause, reflect, and choose what draws you closer to your values and your faith, that moment becomes a step on the path of a destiny worth walking. Destiny isn't stumbled upon. It's built with each decision you make. Too many people sit and wait for life to happen, hoping that someday, somehow, something magical will appear and change everything. But the truth is, destiny is not a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered by accident. It is a path constructed slowly, intentionally, one brick at a time, through the choices you make daily. Your habits, your mindset, your reactions, your priorities, all these are ingredients in the recipe of your future. There is no such thing as standing still in life. Every action or inaction either builds your tomorrow or allows it to slip further from what it could be. If you keep waiting for the right moment, you might just miss all the moments Allah already gave you to take the first step. Your destiny doesn't fall from the sky while you remain passive. It is carved from the effort you put in, from the prayers you whisper when no one sees you crying, from the sacrifices you make when your heart feels torn, from the choices you make in moments when it would have been easier to give up. Destiny is not luck. It is obedience, struggle, and consistency over time. It is easy to admire someone else's success or peace, but what you don't see is the mountain of silent decisions that person had to climb to get there. One choice to stay patient, one choice to walk away from sin, one choice to start over despite failure. These seemingly small decisions carry the weight of futures unknown. When you think about how a house is built, it doesn't begin with the roof or windows. It begins with a foundation. If that foundation is weak, the house will collapse no matter how beautiful it looks. Your destiny is the same. It's built on the daily, sometimes difficult choices you make to ground yourself in purpose. If your intentions are unstable, if your character is compromised, if your choices are constantly based on emotions and external validation, the life you're trying to build will eventually crack. But if your foundation is made of truth, discipline, faith, and sincere effort, then even if the world around you shakes, you will remain standing. Many people fear decision-making because they worry about making mistakes. But mistakes don't ruin your destiny. Neglect and indecision do. Allah doesn't punish you for not knowing. He guides you when you sincerely try. But if you wait for signs without taking any steps, you'll stay trapped in cycles that repeat the same emptiness. Every opportunity requires a response. Ignoring the need to choose is also a choice to stay the same, to delay growth, to prolong healing. It's not always the wrong choices that ruin lives. It's the refusal to choose at all. A person who keeps walking, even while making mistakes, eventually arrives. A person who stands still, waiting for perfection, never moves forward. Your destiny is tied to the level of trust you place in Allah when making hard decisions. Sometimes the right choice is not the easy one. Sometimes choosing what pleases Allah means losing comfort, losing people, or facing uncertainty. But when you sacrifice for His sake, even if it breaks your heart, that pain becomes the seed for blessings you never imagined. Every time you choose submission over rebellion, patience over haste, gratitude over complaint, you are shaping a future that aligns with divine mercy. People around you may not see the silent battles you win every day, but Allah sees, and He writes those victories into the blueprint of your destiny. We often expect our lives to change from a single big moment, but real transformation happens in the unseen layers of daily choices. The choice to wake up for Fajr even when you're tired. The choice to lower your gaze when temptation calls. The choice to say Alhamdulillah when disappointment strikes. These aren't small moments. They are the construction materials of a life destined for peace, purpose, and barakah. What many don't realize is that the strength to make such choices doesn't come from motivation. It comes from knowing that each decision is being weighed, witnessed, and recorded by the one who controls outcomes. The story of your life is being written right now, not just in your actions, but in your intentions behind them. You may not be able to control all the external events that happen to you, but you have full control over how you respond, and that response can shift the entire course of your life. Some people rise after heartbreak and build something stronger because they chose not to be defined by their pain. Others drown in comfort and never rise again because they chose to stop moving. Your decisions determine which path you take when life breaks you. Will you become bitter or will you become better? Will you use your trials to draw nearer to Allah or will you let them distance you from the very one who can heal you? We build our destiny not just by choosing what to do, but by choosing who we want to become. You can choose to become someone who lives with integrity, who protects their tongue, who guards their soul, who chases sincerity instead of applause. And with each of those choices, you are laying bricks on the road to a future filled with light. But when you choose shortcuts, deception, arrogance, or laziness, you are building something that may look successful on the outside but is hollow within. Don't be fooled by the speed of others or the noise of the world. What you build with discipline, dua, and devotion will outlast what others build with haste and ego. There will be moments when you'll feel lost, when you won't know which way to go, when both choices look painful. That's where the real test begins. Will you choose what keeps you connected to Allah or what keeps you comfortable in your nafs? Will you pause to reflect or will you run to distraction? Every time you face a crossroad, you're given a fresh chance to align yourself with the purpose you were created for. You may not get the answers immediately, but your willingness to choose with intention already puts you on the path of those guided. It's also important to realize that not everyone around you is building their destiny intentionally. Some are destroying theirs with carelessness, and if you follow them blindly, you risk collapsing your own. Be careful who you let influence your decisions. Not every opinion is worth following. Not every trend is worth copying. Not every friend is worth keeping. The people you choose to surround yourself with play a major role in shaping your choices and, in turn, your future. Choose people who remind you of Allah, who encourage growth, who celebrate your efforts toward good, even when the results aren't visible yet. Your destiny is not about where you started. It's about what you keep choosing regardless of what you've been through. Some people were born into pain, injustice, or limitation, but they kept choosing to rise. Others were born into ease, but chose arrogance or heedlessness and lost everything. Where you begin doesn't define you. What defines you is whether you let your past hold you back or whether you use it as fuel to choose differently. Even if your past is full of regret, you can still choose to write a new chapter with the pen of repentance, sincerity, and effort. Allah, in His mercy, allows us to reset. That's why Tawbah is such a powerful concept in Islam. It acknowledges that your destiny can shift the moment you choose to return, no matter how far you've strayed. You're never too lost to be rewritten. You're never too broken to be rebuilt. But rebuilding requires decisions. You must choose to cut ties with what harms your soul. You must choose to re-enter the light even when the darkness feels familiar. You must choose to trust again, pray again, hope again, even if your voice shakes and your heart feels hollow. You don't build destiny in grand speeches or dramatic events. You build it in the quiet, consistent acts of obedience that no one claps for. You build it by being loyal to your values when no one's watching. You build it by saying Bismillah when starting something new, by saying Alhamdulillah after every hardship, by saying Astaghfirullah when your soul slips. These are not just words, they are spiritual tools that construct the unseen layers of your path. And every day, every hour, you are given the tools to either build or destroy. The choice is always yours. The smallest decision today can unlock the greatest change tomorrow. It's easy to dismiss tiny acts as irrelevant, to think that unless something feels big, loud, or dramatic, it doesn't hold real value. But in reality, life turns on the hinges of small moments. A single prayer whispered from a heart that's tired can shift your entire energy. One sincere apology can mend a broken bond that Allah values more than you realize. One step away from a toxic habit, even if it's shaky and unsure, can begin a journey of healing that rewrites your life in ways you didn't expect. Great change doesn't always crash through your door. Sometimes it walks in silently through the smallest door you had the courage to open. The decisions you make when no one is watching, whether to rise early or hit snooze, to speak kindly or remain bitter, to forgive or to fuel the fire, these choices accumulate. Each small choice lays a brick, and one day you'll wake up living in the house built entirely from those bricks. Think of how you respond to disappointment. Do you run from it? Do you allow it to plant bitterness in your heart? Or do you pause, breathe, and respond with faith? That decision in that one small moment determines the energy you carry into the next chapter. Your reaction in a moment of frustration might not seem like much, but it teaches your soul either patience or impatience, humility or entitlement, growth or stagnation. Sometimes people are waiting for an aha moment, for a lightning bolt from the sky to give them clarity, purpose, or motivation. But what if that moment comes disguised as a simple message you almost ignored? What if it's buried in a verse you've read before, but today you actually reflect on it? What if your entire turning point is hidden in a decision as small as saying no to the wrong invitation, or yes to 5 minutes of quiet reflection before sleeping? The power of small decisions is that they build momentum. A person who decides today to read one page of Quran may end up memorizing it one day. A person who chooses to make one small act of istighfar daily may find their burdens lifted in ways no one can explain. These aren't coincidences, they are divine responses to deliberate choices. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in one day. You just need to start. That start can be as simple as making your bed, smiling when you feel heavy, choosing to not scroll endlessly, or deciding to speak less and reflect more. These small decisions rewire the way your heart connects with your Creator, your purpose, your peace. One small choice today can change your reputation, your relationships, even your self-respect. And often, you don't even feel the magnitude of that change in the moment. You only realize it weeks, months, or years later when you find yourself in a place of calm, strength, or success, and you trace it back to one decision you almost didn't make. The small decision to forgive when your ego screams for revenge, that can free you from years of bitterness. The choice to turn to Allah in dua for 2 minutes after each salah, even if your mind is wandering, that can unlock a connection with Him that pulls you out of the darkest valley. The decision to say no to a sin that no one would know about, that can change your entire spiritual trajectory. These are decisions that look small on the outside, but carry the weight of worlds inside. Allah doesn't need your perfection. He needs your effort. The consistency of tiny efforts outweighs the weight of one-time grand gestures. The Prophet ﷺ taught us that the most beloved deeds to Allah are those done consistently, even if small. Why? Because consistent small choices create lasting change. They anchor you. And then there's the spiritual truth that makes this even more profound. Allah magnifies the value of sincere effort. That means what seems like a small step to you may be a mountain of reward in His sight. One verse of Quran read with sincerity might hold more light than hours spent in distracted recitation. One tear shed in sujood when you choose to pray even though you're broken might unlock a future filled with mercy you couldn't even imagine. You may see only the seed, but Allah sees the tree it will become. You may only feel the pain of discipline today, but He is already preparing the ease of tomorrow. There are moments where you'll be tempted to delay, where you'll think, it's just one day, or it doesn't matter right now. But those are the most dangerous moments because that mindset becomes a habit. And before you know it, a string of small neglects becomes a life of spiritual emptiness. On the flip side, when you begin choosing differently in the smallest of moments, you build strength. You begin to trust yourself. You begin to recognize that your power is not in controlling outcomes, but in mastering the choice in front of you. One small act of discipline today becomes evidence to your soul that you can overcome anything with Allah's help. Sometimes the greatest change tomorrow isn't in your external life, it's in your internal wiring. Choosing to pause before you react today could stop you from sabotaging a meaningful relationship tomorrow. Choosing to be grateful today, even when things feel messy, could prepare your heart to recognize blessings tomorrow that others overlook. The decision to walk away from envy, comparison, or self-doubt for even 1 hour a day might become the foundation of emotional resilience that turns you into someone others find strength in. The mind learns through repetition. So the small decisions you make today, how you speak to yourself, how you frame your situation, how you interpret setbacks, all these shape your mental and spiritual programming. There is a certain urgency in understanding this, not because we need to be anxious, but because life moves quickly. What you delay today may become your regret tomorrow. The window you think will always be open might close without notice. That person you think you'll apologize to later may no longer be in your life when you're finally ready. That sin you think you'll leave someday may chain you tighter with every repetition. That one moment of inspiration you felt in a lecture or while reading Quran, it came for a reason. It came to invite a small decision. And your response to that invitation, whether acted on or ignored, decides whether that inspiration turns into transformation or fades into memory. And while the world celebrates overnight success and viral change, Islam celebrates quiet decisions rooted in sincerity. The man who prays Fajr daily in the silence of the morning is not trending on social media, but he is building a future drenched in light. The woman who makes a small silent dua every night before sleeping is not in the spotlight, but she is planting seeds in the unseen that may grow into miracles. Their decisions may be small, but their rewards are eternal. Even angels record every tiny action because in the sight of Allah, nothing sincere is ever small. The most powerful reality is that change doesn't wait for perfect circumstances. It waits for willing hearts. And willingness is born in moments of decision. When you feel tired but still choose to try. When you feel hurt but still choose to speak kindly. When you feel hopeless but still choose to make dua. These decisions are the sacred spaces where transformation begins. You are always one small decision away from becoming the person you were created to be. One step away from a better version of yourself. One effort away from the mercy that can wipe years of mistakes. You may never see the domino effect of one righteous decision you make today, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. You may inspire someone else to believe again, to try again, just by how you chose to show up with patience, strength, and sincerity. And when you begin to trust that every little effort matters, you start living with more purpose, more clarity, and more presence. Your life becomes less about waiting for some big shift and more about honoring the small moments with wisdom. Because deep down, you know the smallest decision today can unlock the greatest change tomorrow. Fear of choosing often blocks the miracles written in your qadr. It's not always the hardship that stops people, it's the hesitation, the reluctance to move, the internal tug of war between what is and what could be. Many people stand at the edge of change, staring into the unknown, paralyzed not by danger, but by the fear of making the wrong decision. What if I fail? What if I'm wrong? What if I lose everything? These silent questions echo so loudly in the heart that they drown out the soft whispers of courage, the divine signs calling you forward, and even the prayers you once made with such passion. Fear becomes the gatekeeper that bars you from stepping into the very thing you were created for. But the truth is, Qadr is not a passive unfolding. It's a divine collaboration between your choices and Allah's plan. He already wrote miracles for you, but you have to walk toward them. And that first step is almost always the hardest because it requires you to leave the familiar, even if the familiar is painful. Fear tricks you into believing that safety is found in standing still. It tells you that if you don't choose, you can't be hurt. But in reality, not choosing is a choice, and one of the most costly ones, because life doesn't pause while you hesitate. Time doesn't wait while you overthink. Opportunities don't stand still while you analyze every detail trying to avoid discomfort. What if the thing you're afraid of losing is the very weight that's blocking your rise? What if the discomfort you're avoiding is the soil where your strength would have grown? Fear isn't always loud. Sometimes it comes dressed as logic, as caution, as I'm just waiting for the right moment. But deep down, you know it's fear. And when you let that fear lead, you delay the unfolding of a life you prayed for. You delay the arrival of healing, of purpose, of change, of the peace you've been asking Allah to send. Every miracle begins with a decision. The Red Sea didn't split until Musa A.S. walked toward it. Maryam A.S. didn't receive divine provision until she isolated herself in surrender. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ didn't change the world until he left the comfort of his home and faced rejection, trials, and uncertainty. Miracles don't rain down on the passive. They meet those who choose despite fear, who take a step even when their knees shake. Your Qadr is filled with mercy and breakthrough, but you have to trust enough to reach for it. And that trust is tested every time you're faced with a decision that requires you to move into the unknown. So many people silently sabotage their own growth because of imagined worst-case scenarios. They think, what if I choose this path and it ends in heartbreak? But what if that heartbreak is the very path to your healing? What if it breaks something that needed to be broken to make space for the version of you that Allah is calling forth? Others fear losing people. They think, if I make this choice, I might be left alone. But what if that space created by someone's absence is what finally allows you to hear Allah's voice clearly? Fear is a liar that overestimates your losses and underestimates your Creator's power to restore. You don't see what Allah sees. You don't know what He's protecting you from or preparing you for. All you can do is choose with the best of your knowledge, with sincerity, and then place your trust in Him. You will never know how far your decision could take you until you actually make it. That business you never started because you feared failure could have been the source of sadaqah that fed thousands. That person you were too afraid to walk away from could have been the weight holding down your soul. That spiritual routine you kept postponing because you weren't ready might have been the very thing that gave your heart the clarity it needed. Fear keeps you orbiting the same emotional space, confused, uncertain, and stuck. But when you choose in spite of that fear, something sacred happens. Allah meets you at the edge of your faith. He opens paths that weren't visible before. He shifts circumstances. He sends help in ways you couldn't anticipate. But the condition is that you must choose. You must move. You must trust that walking toward the unknown with Allah is safer than standing still with your doubts. Sometimes fear isn't rooted in the decision itself. It's rooted in your past. You're afraid of choosing because you've chosen wrong before. You've been hurt before. You trusted someone and got betrayed. You tried something and it failed. So now you hesitate, not because the opportunity is wrong, but because your heart still remembers the pain. This is where healing becomes part of your Qadr too. You have to choose healing. You have to choose not to let the past chain your future. You have to remind yourself that just because something broke before doesn't mean it will break again. Allah doesn't operate by your trauma. He operates by your trust. And the moment you begin choosing from faith instead of fear, your Qadr starts to feel different. You begin to notice